When I woke up that Thursday morning, my cousin Kyla was making pancakes in my kitchen like nothing had happened. She smiled at me over her coffee cup, asked how I slept, and complimented my hair. What she didn't know was that I had been awake 3 hours earlier when she crept into my bedroom, opened my jewelry drawer, and stole pieces my grandmother had left me. I watched her through half-closed eyes, my heart breaking with every item she slipped into her pocket, and I said nothing. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't loud, it's patient. I wasn't really asleep when Kyla opened my bedroom door at 2 in the morning. I had been lying there, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the collection I was building. My grandmother's jewelry. Each piece told a story. The pearl earrings she wore on her wedding day. The gold bracelet my grandfather gave her for their 10th anniversary. The custom brooch with her initials carved into the back. I heard my door creak open slowly. My body went stiff under the covers. Through my eyelashes, I watched Kyla's shadow move across the moonlit room. She was wearing the same pink pajamas she'd worn to bed. Her steps were careful, quiet, like she had practiced this. She went straight to my dresser, the top drawer where I kept the velvet boxes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to jump up and ask her what she was doing. But something told me to stay still, to watch, to learn exactly who my cousin really was. Kyla opened the drawer slowly. The wood made a soft sound. She froze, looking back at me. I kept my breathing steady, deep, like I was in a dream. She waited 30 seconds, then she reached in. I watched her fingers close around the pearl earrings first, then the bracelet, then the brooch. She held each one up to the moonlight coming through my window, examining them like she was shopping at a store. My chest felt tight. My throat burned. But I didn't move. She slipped everything into her pajama pocket. Then she closed the drawer, walked back to my door, and disappeared into the hallway. I heard her bedroom door close softly, and I lay there in the dark, tears running down my face onto my pillow, wondering how someone I had trusted could do this to me. The next morning, Kyla was cheerful. She stood in my kitchen making pancakes, humming a song, acting like she hadn't just destroyed me hours earlier. I walked in wearing my bathrobe, my eyes still red from crying silently into my pillow after she left my room. "Good morning, Amina," she said brightly. "I made your favorite, blueberry pancakes with honey." I forced a smile. "Thanks, Kyla. You didn't have to do that." "Of course I did. You've been so kind letting me stay here while I get back on my feet." She poured me coffee, added cream exactly how I liked it, and set it in front of me with a warm smile. I wanted to throw the coffee in her face. Instead, I took a sip and said, "You're family. That's what family does." She sat across from me, eating her pancakes, telling me about a job interview she had next week. She talked about maybe getting her own place soon. She thanked me again for being so generous. Every word felt like a knife. After breakfast, I told her I needed to work on some designs in my studio. I went back to my bedroom and opened the dresser drawer. My hands shook as I moved aside the scarves and gloves I kept on top of the velvet boxes. The pearl earrings were gone. The gold bracelet was gone. The custom brooch was gone. 3 other pieces were missing too. 6 items total. 6 pieces of my grandmother's legacy, stolen by someone I had welcomed into my home. I sat on my bed and counted what was left. 12 pieces remained, but the most precious ones, the ones with the deepest memories, were gone. I spent that afternoon pretending to work while my mind raced. I couldn't focus on designs. I couldn't think about my upcoming collection. All I could think about was what Kyla had done and why she thought she could get away with it. That evening, I took out the trash. As I lifted the bin bag, something white fluttered to the ground behind the kitchen bin. I bent down and picked it up. It was a receipt from Golden Star Pawn Shop on 5th Street. The date was printed at the top. Today, this morning, just hours after Kyla had stolen from me. My hands trembled as I read the items listed. Pearl earrings, vintage, gold bracelet, $18K, custom brooch with initials, 3 gold rings, various sizes. The total amount paid, $850. $850. For pieces worth thousands. For memories worth everything. Kyla had sold my grandmother's jewelry for less than a month's rent. I folded the receipt carefully and put it in my pocket. Then I finished taking out the trash, went back inside, and found Kyla watching television in my living room. "Hey, do you want to watch this show with me?" she asked. "It's really good." "Sure," I said, sitting down next to the woman who had robbed me. "I'd love to." We sat there together for an hour. She laughed at the jokes. I laughed too. But inside, I was planning. I was thinking. I was deciding exactly how this was going to end. The next morning, my phone rang. It was Aunt Felice, Kyla's mother. My mother's younger sister. The woman who had begged me to let Kyla stay with me after she lost her apartment. "Amina, sweetheart, how are you?" Her voice was sweet, concerned. "How is Kyla doing? Is she behaving herself?" "She's fine, Aunt Felice. She's been very helpful around the house." "Oh, I'm so glad. You know, she told me you've been a bit difficult about your jewelry collection. She said she asked to borrow a few pieces for a job interview and you got upset with her." My heart stopped. She said what? "Now, Amina, I know those pieces are special to you, but Kyla is family. Your grandmother would have wanted you to share with family. Don't you think you're being a bit selfish?" I stood in my kitchen, phone pressed to my ear, feeling like the world had tilted sideways. Kyla had told her mother I was selfish for not letting her borrow my jewelry. She was building a story, creating a defense before I even knew I needed to defend anything. "Aunt Felice, I never said she couldn't borrow anything. We haven't had that conversation at all." Well, she seemed quite upset about it. "Maybe you two should talk. Communication is important in any living situation." After I hung up, I sat at my kitchen table and realized something. Kyla wasn't just a thief. She was strategic. She was planning ahead. She was making sure that if I ever accused her, people would think I was the problem. But she had made one mistake. She had underestimated me. That afternoon, I called my best friend Ezra. We had known each other since university. He worked in technology, specialized in security systems. He was the only person I trusted completely. "Ezra, I need your help with something. Can you come over tonight after Kyla goes out?" "Of course. What's going on?" "I'll explain when you get here. Just bring your equipment. The small cameras you use for home security." Kyla left at 7 that evening to meet friends for dinner. The moment her car pulled out of my driveway, Ezra arrived with a black bag full of equipment. I showed him the receipt. I told him what I had witnessed. I explained how Aunt Felice had called, how Kyla was building a narrative. Ezra's face went dark with anger. "Amina, why didn't you confront her immediately?" "Because I need proof. Real proof. I need her to show exactly who she is. And I need other people to see it too." Ezra nodded slowly. "You want to catch her doing it again. I want to catch her being herself. No excuses, no lies, just the truth on camera." We spent 2 hours setting up. Ezra installed a tiny camera inside my dresser drawer, hidden among the scarves. Another camera went on my bookshelf, angled toward the dresser. A third camera was mounted inside a picture frame on my wall. All 3 cameras connected to an app on my phone. I could watch everything from anywhere. "The cameras are motion activated," Ezra explained. "They'll record whenever someone opens that drawer. The footage goes straight to cloud storage. She won't be able to delete it, even if she finds the cameras." "Thank you, Ezra." He squeezed my shoulder. "We're going to get her, I promise." 3 days later, I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break at work. I was looking at updates from other jewelry designers, checking out new trends, when Kyla's post appeared on my feed. She had posted a selfie. She was wearing a beautiful outfit, standing in front of a restaurant I recognized. But that wasn't what made me drop my phone. It was the brooch pinned to her jacket. My grandmother's custom brooch. The one with the initials carved into the back. The one-of-a-kind piece that was supposed to be part of my collection. My hands shook as I enlarged the photo. There was no doubt. That was my brooch. The brooch Kyla had supposedly sold to a pawn shop, But here she was, wearing it publicly, posting it on social media for everyone to see. I screenshot the photo. Then I went through her recent posts carefully. 2 weeks ago, she had worn the pearl earrings. 3 weeks ago, the gold bracelet appeared in a photo with her friends. She had been wearing my grandmother's jewelry while pretending she had sold it. That meant she hadn't sold everything. She had kept some pieces for herself. She was stealing from me to wear my family's legacy as her own accessories. I saved every photo. I made a folder on my phone labeled evidence. And I kept scrolling, kept searching, kept documenting everything. The next morning, I drove to Golden Star Pawn Shop on 5th Street. The shop was small, squeezed between a nail salon and a dry cleaner. A bell chimed when I pushed open the door. A man behind the counter looked up. He was older, maybe 60, with gray hair and tired eyes. "Can I help you?" I pulled out the receipt I had found. "These items that were sold here 3 days ago, I need to buy them back." He took the receipt, studied it, then shook his head. "Those items sold within 24 hours. We don't have them anymore." "Who bought them?" "I can't give out customer information. Privacy policy." I leaned against the counter. "The person who sold these items to you didn't own them. They were stolen from me. They belonged to my grandmother." His expression softened slightly. "Miss, I'm sorry, but unless you can prove ownership and file a police report, there's nothing I can do. We operate legally here. We require ID from everyone who sells. The woman who sold these had valid identification." "What name was on the ID?" "Kyla Thompson." My cousin had used her real name. She wasn't even trying to hide what she had done. She thought I would never find out. Or maybe she thought I wouldn't care enough to investigate. I left the pawn shop with nothing. But I had confirmed something important. Kyla had stolen from me. She had sold my grandmother's jewelry, and she had done it without any fear of consequences. That was about to change. Ezra called me that afternoon. "Amina, check your app. The camera caught something last night." I pulled up the security app on my phone. There was a new video, recorded at 1 in the morning. I pressed play. The footage showed my bedroom in night vision mode. The door opened. Kyla entered, wearing different pajamas this time. She walked straight to the dresser and opened the drawer. This time she took 2 rings and a necklace. She held each piece up, examining them in the dim light. Then she whispered something. I turned up the volume on my phone. Her voice came through clearly. "You'll never notice. You have too many anyway." My stomach turned. She actually thought I wouldn't notice. She believed I valued my grandmother's jewelry so little that I wouldn't keep track of what I had. She slipped the items into her pocket and left the room. The video ended. I called Ezra back. "I need you to help me download all of this. I want copies on a flash drive. Multiple flash drives. I want this footage saved everywhere." "Already done. I've been backing up everything to 3 different cloud accounts. She can't erase this, Amina. We have her." But I didn't want to confront her yet. I wanted more. I wanted to show everyone exactly who Kyla was. Not just what she did once or twice, but who she chose to be every single day. I started pretending to nap in the afternoons. I would tell Kyla I was tired from work, that I needed to rest. Then I would lie on my bed with my eyes closed, listening, testing her. The first time, nothing happened. The second time, she took a bracelet. I watched through the camera app later. The third time, she took earrings that had belonged to my mother. Each theft was captured perfectly on camera. Each whispered comment was recorded clearly. She was building my case for me, one stolen piece at a time. Ezra came over every few days to review the footage with me. We created a compilation video, all the thefts in order, timestamps clearly visible, Kyla's face clearly visible, her words clearly audible. "This is damning," Ezra said. "You could take this to the police right now." "Not yet. I need to do this my way." "What are you planning?" I smiled for the first time in weeks. "You'll see." My jewelry collection was supposed to launch at the annual design gala in 6 weeks. It was the biggest event in our city for local artists and designers. 300 people would attend. Local media would cover it. It was the perfect stage for my work to be seen. It was also the perfect stage for Kyla's betrayal to be exposed. I started preparing my presentation. Usually, designers showed their collections through models wearing the pieces, walking across a stage while photos played on screens behind them. But I had something different in mind. I worked with the event coordinator to secure a larger screen. I told her I wanted to show a video about my design process, about the inspiration behind the collection. She loved the idea. What I didn't tell her was what the video would actually show. I kept the flash drive hidden in a safety deposit box at my bank. I made 3 backup copies. I gave one to Ezra, kept one in my office at work, and put one inside a book on my shelf at home. Kyla would never think to look there. Everything was coming together. I just needed to wait a little longer. Kyla's guard dropped completely. She stopped being careful. She started taking items in daylight when I was home but working in another room. She grew bold, confident, careless. One afternoon, I overheard her on the phone with a friend. I was in my studio, door slightly open, and her voice carried from the living room. "Girl, I'm telling you, this is the easiest money I've ever made. She has so much stuff, she doesn't even notice when things go missing. I've made almost $3,000 in a month." My hand froze over the sketch I was working on. $3,000. She had been stealing from me for longer than I thought, before I even caught her that first night. "It's like a side hustle," she continued, laughing. "She keeps everything in velvet boxes like some kind of museum. Who does that? If you're not going to wear it, why keep it?" Because it was my grandmother's. Because each piece held memories. Because they were supposed to be passed down through generations. But Kyla didn't understand that. To her, everything was just merchandise to be sold. I saved that information, added it to my mental file, kept working. The next discovery came by accident. Kyla had asked to borrow my car for a job interview. I said yes, playing the kind cousin, the generous host. While she was gone, I went into her room. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. Maybe more receipts, maybe the items she had kept instead of selling. But what I found was worse. Inside her suitcase, tucked under her clothes, was a small notebook, the kind you buy at a dollar store. I opened it. Inside were lists, detailed lists. Every piece of jewelry I owned was cataloged with descriptions and estimated values. She had written down pieces I kept in my safe, pieces I hadn't even shown her, pieces that were still wrapped in tissue paper, waiting to be part of my collection launch. She had been planning this for weeks, maybe months. She had studied my collection like she was preparing for a heist. She knew exactly what I had, exactly what it was worth, and exactly what she wanted to take. At the bottom of the last page, she had written, "Take the diamond set last. Leave right after the gala. She'll be too busy to notice until I'm gone." She was planning to rob me one final time, and then disappear. I took photos of every page. Then I put the notebook back exactly where I found it and left her room. I was shaking, not from fear, but from rage, so cold it felt like ice in my veins. 2 weeks before the gala, Ezra did something brilliant. He recovered deleted files from Kyla's phone. I had borrowed her phone one evening, claiming mine was dead, and I needed to make a quick call. While I had it, I connected it to Ezra's laptop for less than 3 minutes. That 3 minutes was enough. Ezra's software pulled every deleted text, every deleted photo, every deleted voice message from the past 6 months. Among the deleted files was a voice note Kyla had sent to someone named Simone. The recording was 2 minutes long. I listened to it 3 times, each time feeling colder. "Simone, I'm telling you, this setup is perfect. My cousin is so focused on her stupid jewelry collection that she doesn't pay attention to what's actually in her drawers. I've been taking stuff for a month now. She hasn't said a word. By the time she figures it out, I'll be gone. I'm thinking Miami, start fresh, new city, new opportunities. And I'll have enough money to actually enjoy myself for once." There it was. Proof of intent. Proof of planning. Proof that this wasn't some impulsive mistake. Kyla had been systematically robbing me with full awareness and zero guilt. Ezra burned the voice note onto the flash drive with all the video footage. Our case was complete. 3 days before the gala, I made another discovery. I was having lunch with Aunt Felice at her request. She wanted to talk about Kyla, about how grateful she was that I was helping her daughter. You know, Amina, Kyla mentioned she's been able to save some money while staying with you. I'm so proud of her. Maybe she'll be able to get her own place soon. That's wonderful, Aunt Felice. I'm happy she's doing well. Although, Aunt Felice said, her voice dropping, I have to tell you something strange. Some of my jewelry has gone missing, the pieces my mother left me. I thought maybe I had misplaced them, but I've looked everywhere. You don't think? No, never mind. Kyla wouldn't. My blood went cold. What pieces are missing? The emerald ring my mother wore every day, her silver locket, a few other items. But I'm sure they'll turn up. I probably put them somewhere safe and forgot. I reached across the table and took my aunt's hand. Aunt Felice, I need to tell you something. I showed her one video. Just one. Kyla entering my room, opening my drawer, stealing a necklace. Whispering that I would never notice. Aunt Felice went pale. Her hand flew to her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. No, that can't be my Kyla. There must be some explanation. There's more footage. Weeks of it. And I found a pawn shop receipt and a notebook where she listed everything she planned to steal. My aunt started crying. Real, silent tears that broke my heart, even though I was angry. I'm so sorry, Amina. I had no idea. I've failed her as a mother. I've failed you as an aunt. You didn't fail anyone. Kyla made her own choices, but I need you to know the truth before the gala, because I'm going to show everyone what she did. Aunt Felice nodded slowly. She deserves to face consequences. I just never thought my daughter would become this person. The night before the gala, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, thinking about my grandmother. She had been a seamstress, working 12-hour days to support her family. Every piece of jewelry she owned had been earned through sacrifice. The pearl earrings were a gift from my grandfather after my mother was born. He had saved for 6 months to buy them. The gold bracelet was from their 10th anniversary, a symbol of their decade together through poverty and struggle. Those pieces weren't just jewelry. They were proof that my grandparents had loved each other. They were evidence that hard work mattered. They were supposed to be my inheritance, my connection to family, my reminder that I came from people who built beautiful things from nothing. Kyla had stolen that. She had taken my history and sold it for drinking money. But she hadn't taken everything. There was one piece she had never seen. A diamond necklace my grandmother gave to my mother the week before she died. My mother gave it to me on my 18th birthday with one instruction. Save this for something important. I had kept it in a safe deposit box at the bank. Kyla didn't know it existed. Tomorrow night, I would wear it. And tomorrow night, everyone would see what Kyla had done. I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't sad. I was clear, focused, ready. Tomorrow, silence would become justice. The morning of the gala, Kyla knocked on my bedroom door with coffee and toast. Big day! I'm so excited for you. Your collection is going to be amazing. She had volunteered to help with setup. She wanted to be part of the event. She had no idea she was walking onto the stage of her own exposure. Thanks, Kyla. I really appreciate your support. We drove to the venue together. She chatted about what she would wear, who might be there, whether any agents or buyers would attend. She talked about my collection like she was proud of me, like she hadn't spent weeks systematically destroying the very thing she claimed to support. At the venue, she helped arrange chairs. She smiled at the event coordinator. She was charming, helpful, the perfect cousin supporting family success. I watched her and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just calm certainty. Ezra arrived early, dressed in a suit, carrying his laptop bag. Everything is ready, he whispered to me. The file is loaded. The tech team has their instructions. When you give the signal, it plays. Thank you, Ezra, for everything. Amina, are you sure about this? Once it's out there, you can't take it back. I don't want to take it back. I want everyone to know the truth. The gala started at 7. By 6:30, the room was full. 300 people in elegant clothes, holding champagne glasses, admiring the artwork and designs on display throughout the venue. Local media circulated with cameras. The mayor was there. Several wealthy collectors had come specifically for my collection. Kyla wore a blue dress I had never seen before. She circulated through the crowd, introducing herself as my cousin, talking about how proud she was of my work. She was performing, playing the role of supportive family. At 7:15, the presentations began. Other designers showed their work first. Models walked the stage. Screens showed photos and videos. Applause filled the room after each presentation. At 8 o'clock, it was my turn. I walked onto the stage, wearing the diamond necklace my grandmother had left my mother. It sparkled under the lights, catching every eye in the room. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. My collection is called Legacy. It's about family, memory, and the things we pass down through generations. The screen behind me lit up. The audience expected to see photos of my jewelry designs. Instead, they saw my bedroom in night vision. They saw a door opening. They saw Kyla entering. The room went silent. People leaned forward, confused, then understanding. The video played in perfect chronological order. First theft, second theft, third theft. Each one time-stamped. Each one showing Kyla's face clearly, her whispering, her careful movements, her complete lack of guilt. Then the compilation showed her Instagram posts. Her wearing my grandmother's brooch, the pearl earrings, the gold bracelet, proof that she had kept some items instead of selling them all. Finally, the voice note played through the speakers. Her voice filled the entire venue. By the time she figures it out, I'll be gone. Gasps echoed through the room. People turned, looking for Kyla. She stood frozen near the back, her champagne glass slipping from her hand, shattering on the floor. Her face had gone white. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I stood on stage, microphone in hand, waiting. The video ended. The screen went dark. The room stayed silent. This is my cousin Kyla, I said calmly. For 2 months, she lived in my home. I fed her. I gave her a safe place to stay while she got back on her feet. And she repaid me by stealing jewelry my grandmother left me. Jewelry that was supposed to be part of this collection. Jewelry that represented my family's history and sacrifice. I paused. Cameras were still recording. The mayor looked shocked. Aunt Felice had tears streaming down her face. I didn't call the police. I didn't confront her privately. I let her think she had gotten away with it. Because I needed all of you to see exactly who she is. Not who she pretends to be. Who she actually is. Kyla pushed through the crowd, trying to reach the exit. But Aunt Felice blocked her path. My aunt's face was twisted with pain and disappointment. Kyla, how could you? Mom, I can explain. She's lying. That video is fake. She edited it to make me look bad because she's jealous. I pressed a button on the remote in my hand. The screen lit up again. This time, it showed Kyla's notebook. Every page, every list, every notation about which pieces to steal last. This is your handwriting, Kyla. This is your notebook. These are your plans. People in the crowd started whispering. Some pulled out their phones, recording. This was going to be online within minutes. Kyla's face, her crime, her betrayal, all of it would be public forever. She looked at me with hatred now. The mask had fallen completely. You had so much. You didn't even wear half of it. What does it matter if I took a few pieces? It matters because they weren't yours. It matters because you stole from family. It matters because you sold my grandmother's memories for drug money. It wasn't drug money. I needed to survive. You were living in my house, eating my food, using my electricity. You weren't surviving, you were greedy. Security guards appeared, summoned by the event coordinator. They approached Kyla carefully. She looked around the room, realizing she had nowhere to go. No defense, no escape, just 300 witnesses to her theft and lies. Aunt Felice grabbed Kyla's arm. "We're leaving, now." "Mom, you believe me, right? You know I wouldn't do this." "I saw the videos, Kyla. I saw your face. I heard your voice. And I checked my own jewelry box after Amina warned me. The pieces my mother left me are gone. Did you steal from me too?" Kyla's silence was the answer. Aunt Felice's face crumpled. She released Kyla's arm like she had touched something poisonous. "Get out. Get out of this venue. Get out of my sight." Kyla stumbled toward the exit. People moved away from her, creating a path. No one wanted to be near her. No one wanted to be associated with what she had done. She walked out into the night, alone, destroyed, exactly as she deserved. I watched her go. Then I turned back to the audience and lifted my microphone again. "I'm sorry you had to witness that. But I believe in truth. I believe in accountability. And I believe that sometimes the most important thing we can do is show people exactly what betrayal looks like. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for witnessing this. Now, let me show you the collection I built from what she didn't steal." The lights changed. Music started. Models walked onto the stage wearing my designs. My real designs. The pieces I had created while Kyla was stealing from me. Beautiful. Original. Mine. The crowd applauded. Cameras flashed. And I stood there, finally free. After the event, people surrounded me. Some apologized for what happened. Some congratulated me for exposing the truth. Others wanted to buy pieces from the collection to support me after what I had endured. The mayor approached with his wife. "That took incredible courage, Amina. I'm sorry your family betrayed you like that." "Thank you, sir. But I'm not sorry anymore. I did what needed to be done." A reporter from the local news asked if she could interview me. I agreed. I told the whole story on camera. I showed the pawn shop receipt. I explained how I had set up cameras and waited. How I had documented everything. How I had chosen to expose Kyla publicly because private confrontation would have just resulted in more lies. "Do you regret not going to the police?" the reporter asked. "No, the police would have handled it privately. Court cases take years. I wanted immediate accountability. I wanted everyone to know what she did. And now they do." "What message do you want people to take from this?" I thought carefully about my answer. I want people to understand that silence doesn't mean permission. Just because I didn't confront her immediately doesn't mean I didn't notice. I was building a case. I was gathering evidence. I was making sure she couldn't lie her way out of what she did. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is wait. 3 days after the gala, Kyla called me. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message. "Amina, please, I'm begging you. Can we talk privately? Can we work this out? What you did at the gala destroyed me. Everyone knows now. I can't get a job. I can't show my face anywhere. Please, just give me a chance to explain." I called her back. She answered on the first ring. "Kyla, you want to talk? Fine. Meet me at the coffee shop on 3rd Street. Tomorrow at 10 in the morning." She agreed immediately, desperate, broken. The next morning, I arrived first. I ordered coffee and sat at a table by the window. When Kyla walked in, I barely recognized her. She wore no makeup. Her hair was pulled back messily. Her clothes looked slept in. She had aged 10 years in 3 days. She sat down across from me. "Amina, I'm so sorry. I made terrible mistakes. I was desperate. I didn't think you would notice. Please, can you tell people it was a misunderstanding? Can you take down the video?" "No, please. I'm begging you. My life is ruined." "You ruined your own life, Kyla. You stole from family. You planned it for months. You showed no guilt. You were going to steal more and then run away to Miami. Don't pretend this was a mistake. It was a choice." She started crying. Real tears this time, not manipulation. "What do you want from me?" I slid a piece of paper across the table. This is an itemized list of everything you stole, the estimated value of each piece, and the total amount you owe me. $14,300. I don't have that kind of money. Then get a job. Make payments. I don't care how long it takes, but you're going to repay every dollar. And if I do, will you forgive me? Will we be family again? I looked at her directly. No, you're banned from family events. You're not welcome at my home. You're not welcome in my life. Repaying the money isn't about forgiveness. It's about justice. You took something that wasn't yours. You're going to make it right. Kyla signed the repayment agreement. She had no choice. The alternative was me pressing criminal charges, and she knew that would mean jail time. She left the coffee shop defeated, carrying the weight of consequences she had never expected to face. I went back to my studio, back to my work, back to my life. But something felt different, lighter, clearer. For 2 months, I had carried the weight of what Kyla did. I had pretended everything was fine while planning her exposure. I had smiled while my heart was breaking. I had been silent while documenting every betrayal. Now, I didn't have to pretend anymore. Everyone knew the truth. Kyla couldn't manipulate the narrative. Aunt Felice couldn't defend her. No one could claim I was overreacting or being selfish. I had been strategic, patient, precise, and I had won. Over the next weeks, orders for my collection poured in. The gala had attracted attention not just because of the drama, but because my designs were genuinely beautiful. Collectors wanted pieces. Boutiques wanted to carry my work. A fashion magazine wanted to feature me in their next issue. My career didn't just survive Kyla's betrayal. It flourished because of how I handled it. 6 months after the gala, I stood in front of a small storefront on Maple Avenue. The windows were empty. The door was locked. But the sign above read, "Coming soon, Clark and Legacy Boutique." Ezra stood beside me, holding a toolbox. We had spent weeks preparing for this moment, finding the perfect location, designing the interior, planning every detail of my first independent store. "Are you ready?" he asked. "I've been ready my entire life." We unlocked the door and stepped inside. The space smelled like fresh paint and new beginnings. Display cases lined the walls, waiting for my designs. The back room would be my workshop, where I could create in peace. The front would showcase finished pieces under perfect lighting. This was mine, built from my own work, my own vision, my own determination. No one had given this to me. No one could take it away. My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt Felice. "I drove past your new store today. It's beautiful, Amina. Your grandmother would be so proud." I smiled. Aunt Felice and I had slowly rebuilt our relationship. She had apologized repeatedly for not seeing who Kyla had become. She had checked on me weekly, making sure I was okay. She had even helped me find some of the stolen pieces that Kyla had sold, tracking them down through pawn shops and online marketplaces. Not everything could be recovered. Some pieces were gone forever. But I had made peace with that. The jewelry was important, but what mattered more was that I had refused to be a victim. I had taken control of my own story. Ezra started unpacking display materials. "So, have you heard from Kyla lately?" "She's making payments, $50 every 2 weeks. At this rate, she'll finish paying me back in about 5 years. But she's consistent. She hasn't missed a payment yet." "Do you think she's changed?" I considered the question carefully. I think she's facing consequences for the first time in her life. Whether that changes her permanently, I don't know. But that's not my responsibility anymore. I did what I needed to do. The rest is up to her. We worked in comfortable silence, setting up displays, arranging furniture, bringing my vision to life. By evening, the boutique looked exactly how I had imagined it. Elegant, professional, mine. The grand opening was scheduled for Saturday morning. I sent invitations to everyone who had supported me, the designers from the gala, the collectors who had bought my pieces, the reporters who had covered my story, and Aunt Felice, because family still mattered, even broken family. Friday night, I couldn't sleep. I walked through the boutique alone, touching each display case, each shelf, each carefully chosen detail. In the back corner, I had created a special section, a memorial to my grandmother. I had recovered 3 of her original pieces, the pearl earrings, the gold bracelet, and 1 ring. They weren't for sale. They sat in a locked glass case with a small plaque that read, "In memory of Marion Clark." These pieces represent sacrifice, love, and the legacy we choose to honor. I had also placed my mother's diamond necklace there, the one I had worn to the gala, the one Kyla had never seen, never touched, never tainted. These pieces would stay with me forever, reminders of where I came from, reminders of what I had overcome. Saturday morning arrived bright and clear. People began arriving at 9. The boutique filled with friends, supporters, curious shoppers. A local news crew came to film. The mayor sent flowers with a congratulatory note. And at 10 o'clock, I stood at the center of my store and spoke. Thank you all for being here today. 6 months ago, I faced a betrayal that could have destroyed me. Someone I trusted stole from me. Not just jewelry, but memories, history, pieces of my family's story. I could have let that break me. I could have given up. Instead, I decided to build something new, something stronger, something that couldn't be stolen. I gestured around the boutique. This is Clark and Legacy. It represents everything my grandmother taught me. Work hard, create beauty, stand up for what matters. Don't let anyone make you small. Applause filled the room. Ezra stood near the back, grinning with pride. Aunt Felice wiped tears from her eyes. Strangers who had heard my story nodded in understanding. I want everyone here to know something, I continued. Silence doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who wait, who watch, who document everything, who choose the perfect moment to speak their truth. I was silent for 2 months while my cousin stole from me. But that silence wasn't permission. It was strategy. More applause. People pulled out their phones, recording, sharing, spreading my message. Today, I'm opening this boutique not as a victim who recovered, but as a woman who never stopped fighting. I didn't just survive betrayal. I used it to build something better. And that's what I want everyone to take from this. Your pain can become your power if you're patient enough to see it through. The crowd erupted. People rushed forward to congratulate me, to purchase pieces, to tell me their own stories of betrayal and recovery. The boutique was filled with energy, with hope, with the kind of support that makes you remember why fighting matters. By evening, I had sold half my inventory. Orders were placed for custom pieces. 3 boutiques in other cities wanted to carry my designs. A jewelry magazine requested an interview about my journey from theft victim to successful business owner. Ezra helped me close up at 8. We sat on the floor of the empty boutique, exhausted but happy. You did it, Amina. You really did it. We did it, I corrected. I couldn't have exposed Kyla without your cameras and tech support. I couldn't have gotten through this without you believing in me. He squeezed my hand. So what's next? You've conquered betrayal, opened a boutique, become a local inspiration. What else is left? I smiled, looking around my beautiful store. Everything. I'm going to keep designing, keep creating, keep building this legacy my grandmother started. And maybe someday, I'll pass it down to someone who understands what it really means. Not the monetary value, but the story, the sacrifice, the love. We sat there as the sun set, painting the boutique in gold and orange light. Outside, people walked past the windows, stopping to look at the displays, reading the sign, Clark and Legacy. This was my story now. Not a story of theft and betrayal, but a story of patience, strategy, and ultimate triumph. Kyla had tried to steal my legacy. Instead, she had given me the motivation to build an even bigger one. My silence had been my weapon, my patience had been my strength, and my truth, revealed at exactly the right moment, had set me free. That night, alone in my apartment, I opened the last velvet box my grandmother had left me. Inside was a letter I had never read. It was dated 2 weeks before she died. "My dear Amina," it read, "by the time you read this, I will be gone. But I want you to know something important. These pieces I'm leaving you are beautiful. They're valuable, but they're not what matters. What matters is what you choose to do when someone tries to take them from you. Will you fight? Will you stand up for what's right? Will you protect what belongs to you? I believe you will. Because you come from a line of strong women who never let anyone diminish them. Wear these pieces with pride, and if anyone ever tries to steal them, make sure they learn a lesson they'll never forget. Love always, Grandma Marion." Tears rolled down my face. She had known. Somehow, she had known that someday, someone would try to steal from me, and she had left me instructions on exactly what to do. I had followed those instructions perfectly. I had let Kyla think she had won. I had documented everything. I had chosen the perfect public moment to expose the truth. I had made sure she learned a lesson she would carry for the rest of her life. And now, I was free. Free from betrayal. Free from secrets. Free to build the life and legacy my grandmother had always believed I could create. I closed the letter and looked around my apartment. Tomorrow, I would go back to the boutique. I would create more designs. I would build my business. I would continue the work my grandmother had started all those years ago. But tonight, I simply sat in the silence that had once been my weapon, grateful that I had been patient enough to wait for the right moment to speak. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't immediate, it's strategic, it's documented, it's undeniable, and it's absolutely, perfectly devastating. Did this story resonate with you? Have you ever had to stay silent while someone betrayed you, waiting for the right moment to reveal the truth? Drop a comment below and tell me what city you're watching from. If you want more true stories like this, tap the super thanks button to support the channel. And don't forget to watch the next story on your screen, it's even more shocking than this one. Remember, silence isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the most powerful weapon you have.